Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. I see that we might have people who are new to spiritualism, and I'm sure we have people who have been living spiritualism for decades. But the one thing, regardless if you're new or if you've been in it for a while, that is important is that spiritualism isn't just something that we practice on Sundays or when we feel like it, but it's truly a lifestyle. It's a way of life. We're all here, right? Maybe some of us might be a little foggy yet, but we're all here having this great life experience with every opportunity that we want really right in front of us if we choose. If you think for just a moment how special this moment is, because never again will all these people be in this room together at the same time, sharing space, opening our hearts and our minds, and sharing spirit. Think about it. This is the one and only time that we'll all be together exactly just like this. And that's what spiritualism teaches with the continuity of life, right? That we get to live forever, that we get to explore and have new ideas and new processes and new thoughts. Anything we want is at our fingertips. And we learn that through Principle 7, that we make our own happiness or unhappiness if we disobey or obey nature's physical and spiritual laws. What are these physical and spiritual laws? Because have you ever Google searched them? You know, like, you never know what you're going to get. You know, sometimes you get like the law of gravity, and then sometimes you get the law of attraction. Seems to be one of the most popular ones. I haven't met a person yet that doesn't know what that law is. However, there's a ton of laws that are there for us. Like I like to call them the keynotes or the Cliff Notes versions. Those, if anybody, you know, in my day, college, we bought these cheater Cliff Note version books because we didn't want to read the big book, right? So these Cliff Notes versions of these laws, and I know that I'm definitely in the right place. There's a good book of laws, physical and spiritual, just across the hall. But I want to talk about one particular one today that I think sometimes we kind of push aside. Because what happens is when we become uncomfortable with something, what do? We set it aside, right? And we try to overcompensate, right? By being too positive. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm just saying, you know, we try to compensate. But you have to have this balance. So I'm going to talk to you today about a law that you're probably familiar with, but there's also another part of that law. So if you don't practice both parts, it might not work. So let me ask you a question. Which do you enjoy more, giving or receiving? And is it really better to give than to receive? Every relationship we go through, with ourselves, with our spouse, with our significant other, a child, a friend, a coworker, is a relationship of give and take. What goes up, right, must come down. What goes out will come back. In reality, receiving is the same as giving, because giving and receiving are just different aspects or a different perspective of the flow of energy. Right? We're all on the same planet here. We're in Florida. Perspective, sunny, wonderful. The same time in the state of Wisconsin, it's 5 degrees and it's warm. Same planet, right? But the energy flow, the give and the take. So practicing giving is actually really simple, isn't it? If you want joy, you give joy. If you want love, you give love. If you want attention and appreciation, you give attention and appreciation. Even if you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent. The art of giving and receiving is the real law, if you would, I think, of how this energy aspect flow works. Of course, on a spiritual journey, isn't our greatest emphasis always on the giving? Scientifically, we are genetically wired to give. Science shows when we give, our brain releases a chemical. I believe it's called dopamine, which is like the real happy one, right? So we are wired. We're also reminded to give much more often, especially when we're following our spiritual path. Generosity is Buddha's sixth perfection. In the Kabbalah, giving is a vital source to overcoming self-centeredness. And in Judeo-Christian religions, we are told it is in giving that we receive. In spiritualism, we only need to look at our sixth principle. This encouragement is wonderful, and I'm not saying to stop. I'm not saying to stop giving. But there are clear practices when it comes to giving, right? I'm sure I could ask you all now to give me one example of giving. But then could I ask you one example of how to receive? This encouragement, there are clear practices that we can also follow in receiving, correct? But by comparison, receiving can feel far less noble, right? There aren't really any clear guidelines for this practice. You know, the giving one is real easy. Be of service, perform random acts of kindness, volunteer, donate, say kind words. But how do we receive? There aren't really point instructions, if you would, right? I can't tell you exactly how to receive. We judge receiving as a selfish act, don't we? Or only suitable for those certain people that we deem needy. Oh, you know, I don't know, I always grew up, someone always has it worse than you, right? But then instead of giving them compassion and strength, do we give them pity? So we need to learn the balance, right, of how to give and receive. You know, if you ever have done that, I give, when is it my turn? I don't know, I've said it. We're human, having, you know, an experience. How do we practice giving, but simply practice receiving? Without saying, well, okay, oh, you know, do we do that? Okay, I'll accept your help. We'll acknowledge defeat for today. But as we're allowing that person to help us, we are already in our minds trying to figure out how we're going to pay him back. Aren't we? We can't just take the energy of that receiving, that gift that they're giving us, and accept it. No, no, no. We're thinking, okay, well, I get paid on Friday and I can buy him a coffee, or I'll write him a thank you card, or I'll go home and make something for them. We're already taking it. So what is that difference? You know, because some people might say, okay, but I give and I give and I give, and I don't receive. Now, we'll probably not admit it, but we might all know someone who takes and takes and takes and takes and never receives, right? So when does the giving and receiving become the doing and the taking? And this is what spiritualism helps us teach us. We never really truly know thyself. Not this life experience anyways. So if you can come to a peaceful resolution with that, then you just keep working every day, right? To be a better you than you were yesterday. When we start feeling exhausted and empty because all we're doing is what we think is giving, we have entered the doing mode. Are you running around so much helping all other people that you are physically exhausted at the end of the day? You refuse to take one pause for yourself throughout the day because, well, I gotta give, it's my way, it's my way, it's my way, it's my way to receive. That we don't allow ourselves to receive. And of course, then there's the taking, right? Balance. I'm not going to talk about the law of balance, but it does exist, so look it up. You got to balance these out. But if you're constantly searching for somebody to give you something that will make your life better, you become a taker, right? You kind of forget about that personal responsibility and you're asking people, give to me, give to me, give to me. I'm going to take it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to take it because it might make me happy. So if your giving is draining you, ask yourself, just a simple question in your mind, am I doing or am I giving? Also ask yourself, are you denying receiving? Because if you deny receiving, aren't you upsetting the apple cart? Give and take, give and take, give and take. All right, the art of receiving. Let's try to figure out some tips to help us do it. Because guess what? Every giver needs a receiver. Doesn't it? Don't they? Right? So why, let me ask you, you don't have to answer, of course, out loud. Just think about this in your head. Why does receiving make you feel the most uncomfortable? If we're offered a compliment, we tend to brush it off, right? Not really accepting it. If somebody says, what a beautiful smile, you're like, oh, thanks. What a great shirt. Oh, thanks. You know, are we really, really saying thank you? Thank you for noticing. And then offer a compliment back, right? Then you might get stuck in this chain of compliments, which is a chain of positivity and love. I don't think we can go wrong. If someone offers you help, are you quick to say, no, no, thanks, I got it. I'll manage. I got it, thanks. Have you ever seen that? Like if you offer to open somebody's door for them, and they have like groceries and stuff, but you know, you think to yourself, oh, they, you know, must be really good. Can I get that door for you? Nope, nope, I got it. You know, they're just like, you know, trying to get the door open. You know, and for whatever reason, you know, again, we're each individual, so we're going to have our own experiences. Were you told that you have to be strong? Because if you ask for help, you're weak. You know, all of you have an experience that formed who you were. But take a look at that. Take a look at that experience. Go back and ask. Most of us associate receiving with shame and weakness. Where are we when it comes to receiving? Receiving, this is the best part. Receiving requires us to open our hearts. Now again, if you're in spiritualism for the first day or for decades, become a vessel. Let go of our control and let it happen. Trust the giver and be humble. You hear that in spiritualism all the time, to be a healer, to be a medium, right? To be attuned to spirit, to connect. What are the words that we say? Become a vessel. Open your heart, open your mind, let it go, let it flow. So how do we receive? How do we exercise receiving? See, I like these little lessons because I'm always constantly asking why or how. Right? Like, well, okay, great, be positive and you get a good life. Okay, how? Like, how do you do that? You want prosperity? You know, be prosperity. Okay, how do I do that? Like, I'm always constantly asking. So exercises. So this week on your life experience, work on some receiving exercises. So as you're out and about in your daily life, at the grocery store, at work, wherever you are, accept all compliments that come your way. Every single one. If somebody says to you, oh, great shirt, say thanks. If somebody says, good job on that work, thank you. Take it, you earned it. Of course, gratitude, be grateful, and like we sang right before this address, count your blessings. Write down 5 things every day you are grateful about. And you know what? I'm going to challenge you. Write down 5 different things that you're grateful for. See, sometimes we get so comfortable in our surroundings, we forget to be thankful for our spouse that woke up next to us this morning. To be thankful for my annoying daughter that likes to wake me up way too early because she can't figure out what she wants to wear to school. Be grateful that you go to your refrigerator and it's on and there's milk and you have electricity. find 5 different things to be grateful for every single day. And really allow yourself to be you, with all of your strengths and all of your weaknesses. That's what makes you you. Try not to pretend to be perfect, because there's no such thing. Allow your greatness to shine, because that truly is facilitating giving and receiving. The 4th one, kind of a little difficult for all of us. Stop complaining. What are we really saying when we complain? That we are not happy with what we are receiving. Right? And that we don't appreciate what was given. So we all have it, a coworker, a friend, oh, you know that one. Be grateful for that one. That one's teaching you a lesson. Be it patience, being it how to deal with stressful people. There's a lesson with that person. Last but not least, and probably one of the most difficult ones, is ask for help. Give the gift of giving to others. Right? Who thought of it from that perspective? Start with small things. You know, you might assume that somebody who is in a wheelchair, well, you know, I can't ask them to help because, well, how are they going to get around? How are they going to do this? You might just ask simply by, you know, would you rub my hand for a minute? If you're into touching, of course. Will you rub my hand a minute? Or, you know, will you tell me a story about, you know, how you overcome something? We really, really can ask others to give to us. And start with those small things, and notice how happy people become when you start really asking for their help. Because aren't they eager? And accept their help with gratitude. And that's it. You know, we all know people, right? Well, I hope so, right? And if not, welcome. And meet the people next to you. We all know people, and each person has their own individuality and has that divine spark, that collectiveness that makes us all one. But also, each of us brings something to the plate that the next person doesn't. So let us share in that. Let us sit at the table with our plates full and share. In order to keep energy and prosperity flowing, we know that we need to keep energy circulating. So I'm going to show you a little example. I'm going to ask you to participate in a little example that will show you that you receive all the time. You think, wait a minute, what? All right, so we're going to do this little example. I would like you to take a breath. Close your eyes for a few seconds and just notice your breath. Notice how at the end of every exhale, you are giving that breath out into the world. And right then and there, as you inhale, you are receiving. Now, give, receive. Inhale, exhale. Now we're only going to try giving. Okay? Only exhale. Don't inhale. Don't stop to inhale. Just keep exhaling. Nope, nope. Don't inhale. Whatever you do, don't receive. Don't do it. Okay, stop, because I don't want anyone passing out. Your body is naturally wired to receive. So why don't we allow ourselves to receive? I'm just going to end with a quote from Deepak Chopra, a leading expert in the mind and body medicine. And as a physician, and I'm sure some of you have read his books, he tackles these far-reaching questions about our ability to heal ourselves. In order to keep energy and prosperity coming to us, we have to keep energy circulating, right? We have to do this give and take. A river must keep flowing, otherwise what happens? It becomes stagnant and it suffocates and strangles its very life force. Circulation keeps a river and everything living in that alive and vital. Giving and receiving are only different aspects of the flow of the energy of the universe. If you stop either flow, you are interfering with natural infinite intelligence. The universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are just different aspects of the flow of energy. The flow of life is nothing other than a harmonious interaction of all elements and forces that structure our field of existence. This harmonious interaction of elements and forces in our lives operate as the law of giving and receiving. Receiving needs just to be learned, just as giving did. So once you learn to receive, giving will take on a whole new meaning, receiving becomes giving, and giving becomes receiving. So as you go about your week, just ask yourself, are you allowing the flow of energy to run naturally? Thank you.